Right, Glenn, I want you to imagine you've bought something online, okay? Item of clothing, let's say. Let's say it's a sequined jacket. You thought that might work. Maybe I'll wear that on stage at Fix Fest. You've got it. It doesn't quite fit your vibe. I can't imagine how that would be. You decide you want to send it back, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, instead of just a simple returns form, you're given a choice of three specific ways forward. Okay. One, you can print off the returns label, take it to the post office, send it back, and get a full refund. Okay. That's option one. Option two is you get a 70% refund, but you keep the item. You don't have to do anything. You just get 70% of the money back. Option three is you keep the item and you get 130% credit to spend at that same online shop.
Welcome to The Fix. Sit down with copywriting experts Nick O'Connor and Glenn Fisher as they review, discuss, and improve real-world copy sent in by you. This is The Fix.
This is a real thing. This is exactly what Gemma was returning something just last night. And she said, listen to this, listen to the options they've given me. It's a real option that a website, don't know what the website was. She was sending something back. She didn't like it. She was given those three options. And I thought that is a genuinely fascinating.
It is Dan O'Reilly 2.0. Before we get to that, though, and it's only appropriate that we digress immediately and I do something that I can't quite explain properly. But as soon as you were saying that, there's a famous Woody Allen joke where he goes through it, and I'll find a link to it and post it so people can listen to it properly. But he says he gets kidnapped, and his parents, they send a ransom note to his parents, and like his parents' bedtime reading habits, they read half the note, then put it down and don't read the other half for another week and all this. It goes towards it. But then they're there in the forest, and he's like, the kidnappers say, we want a helicopter, like, put all your guns down, we want the helicopter, and we'll give you the kid. And like the negotiation goes, okay, we're not going to give you the helicopter, but we'll give you the guns, we'll take it. And eventually it goes through it. The negotiators goes, keep the kid. we'll take the helicopter, but it's just the line where he just says, keep the kid. But when you said about keep the jacket and we'll give you this money, that's where it sounds like it's preposterous, and that's what the Woody Allen joke is making that point. It's preposterous, but actually, in the world of marketing, that it immediately makes me think of those examples in Predictably Irrational in Dan O'Reilly's great book on this. But it's that kind of go for the middle price or what have you, and kind of price anchoring stuff. But in that respect, what the company's doing, because that thing of keep the jacket, and obviously we need to actually take away the sequin jacket, because that is preposterous that I'd buy a sequin jacket. But I'm thinking of like the jumper that I've got on now kind of thing. If this wasn't quite right, but it kind of fit and I kind of liked it and I wasn't 100% sure on it, and it was like, oh, not quite my size, I want to exchange it, or like it's not quite right, but I'm unsure about it. And that happens all the time, especially with retail stuff. Like you're always not quite sure, but once you've got it, the decision anyway to even be asked to send it back is already against, like it's already weighing against you. It'd be easier to keep it. Then to say, so let me get this right, they're saying, keep this thing you've already bought, and thus we'll keep the money, and we'll give you 130% of what you've done to get something else.
Yeah, so
what you're actually doing is getting two articles of, so let's say I bought another jumper, I'm getting two articles of clothing at half the price, 2 for 1, but the business is getting 50% they're getting 50% of 2 articles
Are we watching?
when they wouldn't have got anything.
Are we
If you-
watching you do maths? I feel
Yes.
like we really quickly. Okay, let's just walk through the options, and we'll talk about each option from the customer's point of view. And by the way, I actually think this is more of a marketing challenge, but it's very. I'm going to go into this and assume everything has been costed out, and that this isn't a dumb offer; it's a really smart offer. It could be a dumb offer. We'll come to why it is.
No, that's why I think it is a smart offer, because I've just jumped to that. The one that seems I've seen. It's immediately. It's why. Do you know what it is? And we're getting slightly into marketing, and I know I've interrupted you, but it's why people never understand when you go to do like JV deals, and another person goes, "Oh, I want 50% of that," and it's like, I made that. Why would I give you 50% of it? Because you're not getting to that list. You're not getting to that customer. So of course they're going to take 50% of it, and you're getting 50% of a sale that you wouldn't have had. So it was 50% versus nothing. And in this case, it's saying, we were going to send that back and we would get no money, but I'll tell you what, we'll give you something else and we'll still keep the money. So they're getting more money.
Yes, and well, yeah, okay, let's talk about that. More what they're doing in that option is they're getting repeat custom. That's what I liked about it, which is the goal of your business is to generate repeat custom in general. I think an existing customer is 3 times more likely to buy from you than a cold customer. And, this is true of all things. So if you're a copywriter, the way to increase your earnings is to sell more services or add more value to your existing clients. So, that's why when people come to us and say, well, how can I earn more or whatever? So, well, who are you working with now? Who's happy with you? Who do you know? What more can you do with them? Because that's the easy money in all things of life, because the relationship is already there. So the 130% credit, what that says is, okay, you didn't like that. Buy something else then. We'll take the hit on the margin on the fact that you've now got 2 things for the price of 1, effectively, or more than that, depending on what you buy. But it's another chance for you to buy something that you do then love. And there's that whole thing about to become a repeat customer in a restaurant. The rule is you need to eat there 3 times. Once you've been back 3 times, you are more likely to then become a regular. This is a known metric. I've watched a TV program about it. So that's why it's so important that let's say you're on your second visit somewhere, so something isn't right, a good restaurateur will make a big show of making that right. Because they know that until they get you to the 3rd meal, past the 3rd meal, you're not really a customer. So they're prepared to lose money on you if they're a good business and they're thinking long term. That's what I liked about this, that marketing, often good marketing is about choosing where you lose money, if that makes sense. You may have to lose money somewhere in your marketing process. You can decide where that is if you're smart. It could be on your staff, it could be on your returns, it could be on your chargebacks or whatever. If you make that decision in the right way, because do you know what? If we lose on this deal, on this transaction, but this customer ends up with the second item, maybe that they like, maybe that they spent more on, because that's what Gemma said. She said, if I get 130% credit from this website, I'm probably going to end up buying more than one thing, because I might buy more than one item. You know what I mean? That 130, you won't buy the same item again. I've got a bit more money left, so I might buy 2 items. So then they might get more. So they're thinking about that in a long-term way. And I liked that because I know that the choices are slightly confusing in the sense that, okay, this is unusual. People don't really do this that much. But very, very clever way of thinking about it. And I think there are lessons to be learned in other parts of the offer, other parts of the funnel.
Yeah. So I'll ask now to put us out of the misery. What did Gemma do? I've got another question on that, but what did Gemma do as the punchline to that? Did she follow the high? She
took the 130%.
They kept the item.
Yes, because she didn't hate. Okay, let's just work it through from the beginning. Nobody really wants to return an item. It's a ball ache. Okay, so on one side of it, unless you make it really, really easy to return the item, people don't. So, like for instance, ASOS, very, very easy to send something back. It's part of their business model because they know, well, you haven't tried it on yet. You can't know if it's right. So you've got to get that turnover, get it back to us. You probably buy something else. So that works really, really well. On that side of things, you do get situations where a company has clearly made it hard for you to return an item. I'm not going to name any, but there was one that Jenna took something back to the other day. Could buy it online, could only return it in store. Absolute bullshit. That's marketing.
To name it, but is it like a legacy store? Like that's
it was, if you walk down the high street, it'd be one of those. Yes.
Yeah.
But,
that just shows how behind.
Yes. Well, I wouldn't say they're behind. I'd say they're stupid. They're thick because you hear about the death of the high street. You think, well, that plays into it because you're being run by people that don't understand dynamics in play. Because all we said was, right, let's take this back to the shop. We drove up to the shop, 20 minutes, take it in, bring it back. It was then a faff to return in the shop. But that has been designed in such a way so that it's hard to take something back, so that you don't take it back. All that does is make you think, I am never buying anything from this shop because you have penalized me for something that wasn't my fault. I bought it online. It was sight unseen. That's part of the... You have deliberately designed a process that shortens the relationship that I'm prepared to be in as a customer. So that's the other side of the thing. Dumb. Really, really dumb. So I don't want to take it back, but you can make it easy for me to take it back, and that's one thing. But then the relationship might be over. You might send something back, and you might forget where you even bought that thing from. So, okay, that's not great either. So we've got this middle option, which is keep the item. We'll give you some of the money back. So there's two elements of that, which I think are clever. One is, well, would you keep it effectively for 30% of the price? So you bought a jumper, it's £100. Okay, I don't want to spend £100 on this. And they say, well, we'll give you £70 back. So will we keep it then? You might think, for £30? Yeah, why not? Maybe it is worth it. So that's interesting. And they're probably thinking, it costs us a lot to process that refund. It may be, I'm going to say the word soiled. The item might be soiled. It might not be available, might not be able to resell it. At the very least, there'll be an administrative burden. And if that burden costs more than 30% of the item, you're better off giving that back to the customer. So that's quite clever.
That's how the old bank charges used to work, where it was it was kind of famously known that when you used to get like charged £25 on an overdraft or whatever, if you rang up and said, I've been charged £25 on an overdraft, they'd almost immediately just drop the charge because it was not worth £25 to have that person dealing with your call.
Yes.
It's that barrier to like, oh, there's a price point where it's not worth it for the company kind of thing.
So if you know that and you've costed that out, I think that's quite clever.
Yeah.
And again, that might make you see things differently. Oh, maybe I will keep it, whatever. And then you've got this 130 thing, which is clever, right? Because you would expect to go at 100%. If you were going to do it, the logic would be like,
yeah,
keep it and we'll give you the money back, but only in the form of credit you can use at our business. The 130 aspect suggested to me that that's been thought out. And I really liked it because that turned a situation that had the potential to be damaging to the business into something that's now an opportunity to grow the business.
Yeah. So two things. There's what we're really talking about here is how do you delight your customer ultimately, and where are the opportunities to delight your customer? That is one of them. I as you were talking about the returns process, my mum bought me a T-shirt from the French shop that I like in Paris, which I dragged you to. Yeah, dragged you there, and you had a look. It was.
No, hang on. I stood outside like your dad. That's what happened.
Anyway, you ordered me this T-shirt from the shop, and because most French people just eat croissants and smoke cigarettes, the sizes are quite small. So I needed even my normal size, like medium in the UK, a medium in French is a small. So I needed a different size. Yeah. Anyway, I went through the returns process with this small, I mean, they've got an online presence, but they're just a small shop in Paris. But before I was able to send the T-shirt back, I'd got the new one sent. And now in post-Brexit, like customs stuff, I couldn't believe it. And I was like, wow, they just sent me it. And I felt responsible to send the t-shirt back, kind of thing.
It's almost, Glenn, like Brexit wasn't the big deal that maybe some people thought it was.
Let's not get there. I can't order from that shop anymore because I get charged over certain prices. Anyway, the point being is that I was like, I'm delighted by that. That reaffirms my like for that shop. It shows that they are willing to delight me. They're willing to come to me as a customer, kind of thing. And it just, it's like, right, that's good. So at all opportunities, and I'm going to slowly, not too tenuously, but bring it to the copy here, because the second, my other question relates directly to the copy. But as a copywriter, understanding opportunities to delight your reader and understanding how you can take the product offerings, the necessary options that are there, and say, that would delight the reader. How can I do that? That is a responsibility. I know it's a marketing thing we're talking. It's a marketing tool. It sits within there, this whole thing. But if you're looking as a copywriter, trying to provide solutions to clients, this goes back to the course that we run, where you can kind of learn about how to be more than a copywriter ultimately. That's what you're looking for, is those opportunities. My question was going to be, to bring it to the copy, how was that phrased? Was it quite transactional? Was it quite because it's a lot of information, and it's quite logical. Like, on the surface, the cleverness of it is behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's in the architecture of it.
Yeah. So I just wondered, how was that phrased? And because a copywriter might want to try and explain the benefits of that. But actually, this is one of those moments where it's almost like you don't want to over-explain the benefits. You want to let the reader go, wait there, £130? Like, yeah, like on 130%, like, that's just more. So it's that kind of, it leaves a lot of it in the mind of the customer. So I just wondered, how was it handled on a copywriting perspective?
So it wasn't laid out, so far as I'm aware, when she bought the item. So, because I think that's I think you could do that. You could say, hey, to put your mind at ease, although that's a different sort of risk.
Yeah.
Because you run the risk of attracting the wrong sort of customer. Thinks, there's a loophole here.
Yeah, and it would also be damaging at that point, I believe, because then you go, well, what's the point in, I may as well wait for all of these things. Like, this needs to be an isolated moment, and it needs to be once you're past the sale, once you're in there in a relationship with the customer.
Well, it was once the returns process had been initiated. So I think that's important. So, remember, copywriting gets easier the more you know about your customer. I know that's a really trite thing to say, but a few weeks ago, we talked about writing a confirmation page, that first piece of copy after someone's bought. That gets easier because you know the behavior that's just gone on. They bought something, and therefore you can infer from that. This person has bought something and now is asking for a refund. What we're trying to do in all copy is recreate that feeling that we know exactly where they are, we know exactly what they're thinking, and therefore we can talk to them about it. What's harder at the top of a funnel is that we don't know where they are yet. We have to guess. That's what makes copywriting a challenge. It just laid it out very transactionally. Gemma read it out to me like, what do you think about this? So it was more or less just like, I said, it was a bit complicated. Well, it wasn't. It was different. It was like, hang on, I haven't heard anything like this. So I actually think you can be a bit more transactional. A bit more transparent in the copy around that. I'd say it like, hey, we'll happily let you send the item back. But the thing is, we know our stuff is good, and we think that you'd be interested in it based on the fact that you've just bought something from us. So we have this system where, if you'd like to keep the item and get a refund in a quick, so I'd sort of make it about that. We know how good our stuff is, and we also think it's perfect for you. And you must agree on some level, otherwise you wouldn't be here. So how about this? So I mean, you could phrase it slightly differently.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about there is this reminds me of the Eugene Schwartz. It's kind of an impossible book to get, Breakthrough Advertising. But it's where he talks about the idea of customer awareness. And when a washing machine first gets sold, it was like a white cube that you can just put your clothes in, they come out clean. that you don't need to sell that. That's amazing. It's a new thing. But then eventually now it's like, oh, I was on a train to fucking like Budapest and I got some stains on my arms and thankfully this washing machine, and it's all just like so abstract and away from that. But I think because the awareness is so high now, I think what you're probably seeing here, and this is another good place to think, another tip kind of thing, at the moment, that is a new function. That's not being done very often. I shop relatively regularly online for clothes, and I think this is a retail thing that, and an indulgence item. You wouldn't really do it with a Hoover kind of thing because you don't need.
You do more guaranteed. That's a different style.
Yeah. Anyway, but because that first interaction, you can just lay it on the line. But next time, when everyone's doing that, where you're going in your mind of like, right, how do I actually elevate that and really go to it? So it's just another point about understanding where you are when it comes to copy on the awareness scale, because that's going to dictate how much work you need to do. And where it is a new offer, that's a little bit strange. Going simple and just explaining it might actually be the best iteration to begin with.
That's true. But let's just pull back a second and just think about offers in general. Let's talk about copywriting offers. So the offer you make as a freelancer to your client and how you structure that offer, and think about some of the concepts that we just talked about where are you going to make your loss potentially, where can you delight them. So I'll give you an example of one that I really don't like when I see it out there online, but it's really common. The free website audit. See this a lot. I'll give you a free website audit. Okay, so where's the loss there? It's your time. I'm going to audit your website for free. Or I'm not going to charge you for my time auditing your website, and you're doing that as a way of building a relationship. I get it. But I think it's flawed from start to finish. Reason being, one, this is a side point, but it's important. Audit is a low value skill and service. I'm obsessed with this concept of the hierarchy of value because it's connected to the whole AI.
Spent 2 years as an auditor.
This is a different sort of auditing, and from what you've told me, I'm still right. And somebody wants to audit my website, I don't see they're looking for mistakes. That's what I see. So you're going to look for mistakes on my website. Great. Low value. It's a low value proposition.
Look, that backs up what I'm saying. Like, I was an auditor. They did not like me going into those finances to find mistakes and do all that kind of stuff. I know it's like turning to like, oh, and I'll fix them. But anyway, I'll let you continue.
Even if you called it a website turnaround, it would be better.
Yeah.
Okay. You just see website audit. Okay, fine. So it's already low value, and I don't like that because I want my offering to be as high up in the hierarchy of value as it can be. This is why sometimes you say to people, you shouldn't even be paying me to write anything. You haven't thought this bit through. Maybe I can help you with that or whatever. Anyway, so I don't like that. But then on the offer, okay, you're going to have to ask them for money somewhere. Okay. So the context of that audit is their thinking, the customer's thinking, what's the catch? How much do they charge to fix all this stuff? Okay. So the entire context is about when they are going to be charged and how much they're going to be charged. They know it's not free. They're just thinking, what's the catch? So therefore, how can you delight them? There's actually the only way you can delight them is if it's genuinely free. If you say at the end, there you go, here's what you do, and I don't even want your money. Now, you could do that, and that probably would surprise them. But where does it get you? Far more likely, you're going to try and upsell them from free. It would be better if how could you delight them? You could charge them for it up front and then give them the money back if they don't like it. You can refund them. You know what I mean? Like you could say, so you could go the other way, or as part of the audit, you could give them something they're not expecting and make that free as well and use that as a vehicle to an upsell. There's lots of ways you can do it, but you need to think about it from the outset, because if you just go in on a standard free audit offer, it doesn't leave you that many places to go to get the value up. So you're kind of trapping yourself from the beginning. So there might be things to, I mean, I haven't presented the perfect solution to that, but there are ways of thinking about these challenges that are more creative. Like how, if somebody had suggested the idea, I tell you what, you don't give the item back and we give you 130% of the value as a credit. That doesn't sound like a good idea, but done in the right way, it could be long-term value.
And don't get me wrong, I know we're not quite got the like perfect solution, but actually I'm not intelligent enough to be able to work this out. But my gut feeling is if you went in with just a basic free audit, and let's say you maybe got 5 people to do that, and then you've now got 5 people that you've got to do an hour's work for each one of those people. And let's say realistically, one of them takes some extra work. Like if you're lucky, and I think it is if you're lucky in that situation because of the reason you're saying it's hard to upsell on that thing. They're already suspicious, and you're gonna have to start lower because they also think, all right, that's free. So based my price is real low, and so it's gonna be a slog. The converse of that is you say, right, so let's say you then get £500 worth of upsell work, just for arbitrary figure. Or so you've had 5 hours worth of work and you've got one £500 client who doesn't actually value you that much. And that's important to remember. So that's going to be harder to keep pushing up and up and up. Or you say it's £500 for a website audit for the same thing. And you send that to 5 people and you get one taker. You've not had to done any work. If you get no takers, your loss is nothing. You've lost no time. But obviously you're missing the client, the chance for that. But I don't think you'd see a massive, and prove me wrong and do the test, always do the test or whatever. And I'm not trying to say it's perfect world, but my gut feeling is you'd probably get one client who would take £500. Then you do like that client and they go, oh my God, we'll spend more with you then and we'll go there. And it's just that perception of understanding that just giving stuff away for free and positioning yourself like that and putting all the work on you. There is a leap of faith you have to take at some point. And I always remember one of my friends, he was a coder, and he put his prices up, and he was like, he'd go for weeks and be like, oh God, I think I've gone too high. And then he'd land a client at the much higher price, and it'd be like, oh my God. And it was a good client, and it's a thing. Yeah. And he'd be like, oh God, I should have gone higher. But it's just having that. I know people have lives and bills and all of that stuff, but you ain't paying for your lives and bills with free audits where you're spending your time doing that. So it's just about a shift in mindset. I'm not saying it's the perfect solution, and I'm talking from a point of privilege where I've got my bills paid kind of thing, but I've got a feeling it will probably, the maths would add up for you in the end.
The other factor you have to add in is, let's assume you get that £500 piece of work. If there's no upsell on that, as in if there's no longer term relationship to be had there, let's say you fix their website, then the whole marketing that you've chosen to make a loss on something that cannot then build out into a bigger stream of income. This is my point. Choose how and where you make your loss. So on the numbers that you were talking about, let's say you spend 5 hours talking to 5 clients for free. You get one paid thing at the end of it. You get £500 for that. So you effectively got £500 for 5 hours work. Fine. Okay, what's next? Because that isn't that much money really, but it won't be 5 hours work either way. By the time you've marketed it out and you've actually thought about it. So like you say, it would be better. I mean, I'm going to give a crap example now, but it would be better to charge £500 and give them £200 back in some way. Send them a gift basket or whatever. I mean, that's crap. But they're not expecting that.
Yeah.
So as part of your offer, you're trying to make them think, oh, wow, that was great. And you're also trying to structure your offer in a way that rewards the client for being your long-term customer. I think that's bringing it back round to the 130% credit. That's what's clever about that. It's a business thinking, we don't care about this transaction particularly, What we care about is how valuable are you to our business over the next year, 18 months, 2 years, whatever it might be. The relationship between your upfront costs and the upfront offer that you make to somebody and the long-term value, that's paramount. And the reason I picked the free website audit is it violates almost every aspect of that philosophy. It is low value from the outset.
I think it's a good one because it almost feels like a counterintuitive thing that we're talking about. It feels like, oh yeah, no, that should make sense. You start free and then pull them in. But as you've explained, it actually, what's going on psychologically and behavioral sciencely, if you like, is actually it's actually all negative. It's not a good thing. It does more damage to you than the bonus of going, all right, I broke down that initial little wall where you go, oh, it's free, I'll have a look. But actually, that's a very small benefit compared to the lots of negatives that outweigh that eventually.
Yes.
And it's better to have that, the paid subscriber, the paid thing. We've worked in a direct response world for most of our lives, and we've learned very much the lifetime value of a customer. We've learned that it's better to get a paid subscriber than a free subscriber. It's inherent to us that you just get that. That's the thing. But I know that sat there watching the internet, watching the industry, that is not inherent. That is not intuitive to most people. Most of the BSers out there, the bullshitters kind of thing, will say, oh, this is how you should do it. You should do the free thing first. You do it, i.e. don't do it the hard way. because they don't want to be the ones to tell you it's quite difficult, to do this stuff, and you have to put the work in. So that's another example of how it becomes confirmation bias, that everyone's doing this free audit because it's what everybody's saying. It's what the gurus advise. It's the easy option, and it becomes a thing. But no one's looking at the long-term play. I guess it comes down as well on a more broad basis. And we talk about this a lot, even in the things we do as a business, even with the fix. It's all long term. It's all think in the longer term, because that's where that's how you make wealth and build.
That's how all businesses work.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's common sense. It's not common sense. It's known when you get to that, but it's not what you see day to day on a transactional basis. So I think that's worth pointing out, because people, that might be the bit where people go, oh yeah, it's of course it's obvious, but forgive yourself if you don't realize it's obvious, because you're made to not think that. It's made to be a transactional every day, this happening, without getting the time to think, oh, actually, if I just waited, or if I just played the long game, I'd actually end up.
I don't think it's that. I think to a large, this is a larger copy point. I think there's copywriting, by its very nature, there's a large measure of bullshit woven into the DNA of the industry, not of everyone. And I think people who are new to it come to this world, see the way everyone's doing it, and think, oh, I'll do that, which is wrong on two levels. One, because that's never a good strategy to just do what everybody else does. And two, those people, there's no guaranteeing it's working out for those people. So that person has a big email list. And we've seen this play out behind the scenes, or when you speak to people in the pub at fix events and stuff. Someone might be presenting one version of the world to the world, or one version of reality. You talk to them and they're not making half as much money as they make out, or it's not successful. So you don't need to just copy what everyone's doing. Anyway, the next two masterclasses we're going to do for the Fix Accelerator will probably be around this subject, structuring your offer as a copywriter and building your personal brand offering in such a way that it gets you high value work as opposed to low value work. So if you're interested in that, you should become a subscriber to the Fix Accelerator. If you're not interested in that, then, I don't know why you're still here, but what can we do? It's the secret jacket.
Maybe it's the secret jacket. Maybe they just want to know what the shop is in Paris, but I'm not going to tell you. If you come to FixFest, I will tell you. Or if you join as a Accelerator member, I will tell you the shop, and you can dress just like me. But what I was going to say, yeah, I mean, talking about pricing propositions, we're going to put that price up eventually, aren't we? So people do need to, if you want to take advantage. Anybody on there as a legacy person who's been on there from until prior to the price rise will always have the price that they.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah.
Well, I was just
we're going to stop letting new people join at such a ridiculously low price, probably at some point this summer.
So but, 7 people, including my mum, watching this, now is the time to get involved. Go to thefixaccelerator.co.uk. I think that's what it is.
Right. This is our last episode that we're recording prior to Fix Fest. I know that we've been squirreling away episodes so that the next couple of weeks run smoothly. So we will see everybody who's coming to Fix Fest at Fix Fest on the day, 3rd of July. And if you can't make it because you're outside the country or you're busy on that day, we will see you for another episode of The Fix very, very soon.
I'm off to return all of my clothes.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
That's all for this episode, but if you'd like to get your copy reviewed or you've seen some copy you want Nick and Glenn's opinion on, get in touch at feedback@thefixcopywriting.com. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and share.